Okay, now if you remember when I was talking about effective communication, or what I sometimes call the imperatives of communication, what I said was we start off by having an idea in our mind, a concept, an attitude, a piece of knowledge that we want to communicate to the other person or persons. Depending on the situation, and of course very often we don't consciously choose this, we will communicate in a face-to-face situation using the 5 senses. And you can imagine that this would be true as part of a mediation, for example. The other person then takes those senses, they decode them based on their perceptions, their cognition, their view of the world, and then they build up their own mental picture. And we sometimes call these things filters. And these filters are things like our perception, cognition, things like culture, could be based on our basic beliefs, could be based on life's experiences. And one of the things I have always thought is, I wonder why there are certain people, and I'm sure you have this experience as well, you would have had this experience today as you met people, and there will be certain people, and when you first meet them, you seem to get on the same wavelength as them very quickly. You feel as though you're at ease with them. You feel as though perhaps you've known them for longer than what you actually have. And are you like me, where at the other extreme, and of course we're not just talking about binary, one extreme or the other, but do you also find like me that you meet other people and from the minute you meet them, the little hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and it doesn't take long until you're saying to yourself, what planet does this person come from? And I'm sure that would have happened to some of you earlier today. And one of the things that I'm sure many of you have covered before on other training courses of many different types is this idea that we have different, what are sometimes called behavioural traits, sometimes called communication styles, and there are many of these models around. And if we think about some of these models, I'm sure many of you would have done something like Myers-Briggs, and if you remember Myers-Briggs, there are 4 capital letters, 16 different styles, and it tells you a bit about your preferences in many things, but one of them is communication. You may have done things like, there are various things like colour works and true colours, where there are 4 colours, and you may have come across these before as red, green, blue and yellow. And the whole idea of these models is to help us understand a bit more about ourselves, help us understand other people, and where we can adopt an appropriate style to communicate more effectively. And so what I would be doing on a full training session is we would be giving you some self-assessment, where we would ask you to fill out a self-assessment which hopefully will give us a picture of you, and then we will introduce a model to you. And the model that we use, which is very simple, because I think if we've got 16 different styles, it's very hard to use those to be more effective at communication unless you're using it every day and you're an expert at it. It needs to be fairly simple. And the model that we often use, that we call communication styles, is based on basically what we call 3 pure styles. Based on a lot of work that was talked about by people like Charles Hanley, although there's lots of sources around this model. But this particular model has 3 what we call pure styles. And of course, as human beings, we have a combination of all these 3 styles in us. A majority of us probably feel that we have more of one style rather than the other 2. Some of us might find that we're very close to 2 of those styles, which is what we sometimes call a blend, and the situation will bring out more of one style than the other. And there are a small percentage of people, usually accepted to be around 10%, perhaps a little bit lower, who are fairly equal across all 3 styles. And the 3 styles that we talk about in this particular model are, first of all, what we call the results-oriented people. And results-oriented people are very much into getting the job done, they're into achieving the task, they're into making sure that they hit those objectives. They are sometimes called drivers. They are sometimes called strong fighters. And typically speaking, although you couldn't use this as a career tool, we're generally looking at people that are executives, salespeople would be a good example of this, particularly new business salespeople, and people like sportsmen. This is often referred to in our model as people with the red style. The other styles that we use is One that we call people-oriented, sometimes described as friends and helpers. They're people-oriented, they're much more into working with people rather than competing with people. They're very supportive. They very often will be the type of person you would meet, and again, you couldn't use this as a career tool, but these are people who work in the care professions. You will find certain teachers, people that are in care looking after the elderly, good customer service people have these skills, this style. The other style that we talk about, these are the people that we call the blues in this particular model. The other style that we have is what we call the systems-oriented people, or the logical thinkers. And the logical thinkers are people who are very analytical. They are people that tend to weigh up the facts before making a decision. Typically their preference would be to be more introverted than the other two styles. And these are what in this particular model we call the greens. Now, one of the things that we would explore with time is how, depending on where we sit within this model, and again I remind you that most of us are a combination of all three, none of us will sit exactly at a point. But depending on our style and where we fit within this model, we will see things or people differently. So for example, you can imagine if you're a results-oriented person, very results-oriented, how would you see blues? You might see them as being a bit wishy-washy, too happy to try and keep everybody happy. People that sit on the fence, they want to think things through. Of course, results-oriented people find these people very helpful, and these are the people that very often they go to and quickly use their social skills to build that rapport and then ask them to do things. How do the reds, the results-oriented people, see the logical thinkers, particularly in the extreme? They will often see them as being rule-bound, bureaucratic, very process-driven, which can be very frustrating to the red who just wants to get stuff done. But then again, who would the red go to if they want some kind of process, procedure, an analytical report? They're not going to go to a blue, they would certainly go to the greens. How do the blues see the reds? Well, the blues can often see the reds as users, only in it for themselves. But again, it can be very useful to blues when they want somebody to fight a corner or a case for them. How will the blues see the greens? The blues can often see the greens as being quite cold, perhaps unemotional. But again, who do you go to when you want support, particularly to fix your things like IT? And when we look at the greens, how do they see the reds? They will see the reds as rule breakers, a bull in a china shop, perhaps even a cowboy. In other words, they want to break all the rules. But again, very effective if they want people to take their case and fight an argument for them. How do the greens see the blues? I think the thing I've heard more than anything from greens about blues, the people-oriented people, is they are fluffy. In other words, perhaps a little bit over-emotional. But then again, the argument I would always say is, within the office, who brings in the donuts on a Friday?